We rank the conferences here at the Voice of College Football here each and every off season. We ask that you would like the video, share the videos out on social media, and subscribe. Even if you don't agree with my analysis, if you enjoy what we do here at the Voice of College Football, please, we ask that you would support. All right, we start with the ACC. First premise is we seed all the conferences because we're going to rank the results of the games. Therefore, we need to have a seeding process in play. We're not going to go based on my opinion. We're going to go based on the standings in the leagues. So the ACC standings look like this. Clemson is the number 1 seed, followed by North Carolina, not Florida State. Florida State may be a better team than North Carolina, but the Heels finished at 6-2 versus Florida State's 5-3. Pitt's at number 4, Duke at 5. Then follows Syracuse, Louisville, NC State, Georgia Tech, Wake's at number 10, Miami at 11, then Boston College and the 2 Virginia schools at 13 and Virginia Tech at 14. Let's look at the ACC results and performance. We'll add it all up because we're going to check out and we're going to review how the ACC played against the landscape of college football, including the Group of 5 and the FCS. But most notably, we're going to look at those Power 5 matchups. The ACC played 28 games against Power 5 opponents. How did the ACC fare? All right, in bowl play, the ACC went 5-4. They went 3-4 against the Power 5 with 2 wins against a Group of 5. Non-conference play for the ACC at 42-22. That's 10-18. Not a good showing against the Power 5. And against the Group of 5 at 19-4. That's not necessarily a great showing either. The FCS record is perfect at 13-0. Okay, notable non-Power 5 results for the ACC. They won a couple bowl games against the American Conference when they defeated Cincinnati and also UCF. Also a nice win for Louisville against UCF in the regular season. The lows for the ACC, there were 4 of them against Group of 5 opponents, losing to Middle Tennessee, did Miami, also Old Dominion over Virginia Tech, UConn with a win over BC. All right, let's get to the nitty-gritty of what we're doing here, and that's seeding the teams and looking at the results and ranking and giving points to the results. All right, this is what we did. We're basing this on a 14-point scale. There are 14 teams in the SEC, the ACC, and the Big Ten. 12 in the Pac-12, 10 in the Big 12. However, we're going to make this all clean and nice and simple. We've, in the past, went through all the fractions and decimal points of trying to evaluate a 10-team league against a 14 and a 12, but we're going to keep it nice and clean with 14 points. That's going to be the baseline for every game. Your conference is either going to lose 14 points or gain 14 points based on the win or the loss. However, it's going to be adjusted based on seeding. So if the conference champion, like a conference champion defeats another conference champion, that's going to be worth 14 points to the winning conference. However, if the number 1 seed, the conference champion, defeats an 8th seed in another conference, well, you don't give them as much credit for that. Therefore, a 1 versus an 8 is 7 points or 7 seeding slots difference. So you take off 7 from the 14, and that game is worth 7 points. Reverse that. If you pulled off an upset for your conference, let's say your number 8 seed defeated a number 4 seed, we'll add 4 points because there's a 4 seed difference to that game of 14 points, and you get 18 points for that game. This is how it works. Let's look at it. The ACC won 10 games against the Power 5. Ironically, Clemson, the champion of the ACC, won no games against the Power 5. They lost all 3 games, Notre Dame, Tennessee, and South Carolina. They went 0-3 against the Power 5. North Carolina, also going to the ACC championship game, did not defeat a Power 5 non-conference opponent. So you got to go all the way down to the 3 seed in Florida State with 3 wins outside the conference over LSU, Florida, and Oklahoma. And you see the point representations there. Florida State, a 3 seed, defeats LSU, a 3 seed. So that's 14 points for the ACC. Florida State, a 3 seed over Florida, a 10 seed out of the SEC. Well, you take off that 7 seed difference, and that game is now worth full 14 points, but it's worth 10 points instead. And then we go down the list. You see Pitt with a bowl win in comeback fashion against UCLA at the Sun Bowl. So 13 points for the ACC there. Pitt also won a game against West Virginia out of the Big 12. Duke with a win against Northwestern out of the Big 10. And Northwestern, the last seed in the Big 10. You see the 6th seed Syracuse defeating Purdue out of the Big 10, the Big 10 Western Division champion. So there are 16 points given to the ACC for that effort. NC State with a win against Texas Tech, who finished as the 4th seed in the Big 12. And Wake Forest with a couple wins against Mizzou and against Vandy. And they won those games by 10 and 20 points. So we are also looking at point differential here as the ACC won 10 games over the Power 5 by a total of 75 points. Now let's look at the 18 losses for the ACC. Not a good showing for the conference against the Power 5. Clemson, right out of the gate, big letdown. Lost to Tennessee by 17, lost to Notre Dame by 21, and lost to South Carolina 31-30. So those are games. The ACC's number 1 seed lost to the 2 seed in the SEC. The 4 seed, we're giving Notre Dame a 4 seed. They finished between 15 and 20 in the national polls, and according to myself, they were number 18 in the country, so that's about a 4 seed in a Power 5. And also South Carolina was the 6th seed out of the SEC. North Carolina with a couple losses to Notre Dame and Oregon. You see the point totals represented there. And again, just to give you an example, North Carolina a 2 seed, Notre Dame a 4 seed. So that's a 16-point loss for the ACC in that matchup. Pitt with a loss against Tennessee in overtime at Heinz Field. Not a bad loss for the ACC by any stretch, as Tennessee was a top 5 team in the country. Duke lost to Kansas. We see Syracuse with a couple losses, one in bowl play against Minnesota. Louisville lost to Kentucky in that rivalry matchup by 13 points. You see NC State with a bowl loss against Maryland. Georgia Tech with a couple losses outside the conference in the SEC to Georgia. No shame in that. And also to Ole Miss 42-0. Miami lost to Texas A&M. There you see the other results as Boston College dropped a couple results outside the conference. Virginia lost to Illinois, and Virginia Tech lost to West Virginia. If you add it all up, the seeding difference in this is a minus 120 for the ACC. They won 10, they lost 18, and they also lost the seeding battle against the other 4 conferences. The point differential for the ACC also not pretty in the 28 games, as they lost it by 197 points. What does it all mean? Well, it doesn't look pretty for the ACC at 10 and 18 with those negative seeding and point differentials, but you got to add it all up. So we will be back with the Big 12 numbers. Leave your comments below right here at the Voice of College Football.